DMZ Season 6 just launched today, and while there wasn't any real content added, there were a few dramatic gameplay changes that you need to know before diving in. Here are the top 3 things you need to know about DMZ Season 6 launch. First up is a big one. Squads can no longer assimilate larger than 4 players. So no more 6-man platoons running around the map, steamrolling everyone. Seems like a good change. And not only that, it does prevent a lot of these 6-man pre-made platoons that we've been seeing a lot, ruining the game for others even more. Now that said, I do still have some concerns about this. Think about 2 teams meeting each other, perhaps close to the where they spawned. What are the realistic ways it could play out? 1, they could communicate and everyone is friendly, but you can't assimilate, so you need to just go your separate ways and hope no one shoots each other. 2, the fight could just play out like normal and the winning team can only pick up 1 plea, leaving the other 2 people dead until someone else comes along or they quit. Or 3, someone sends out an invite and 1 player defects from the other team and quickly creates a 4 versus 2 advantage. And then that team has obviously a great statistical chance anyway of wiping the previous team. So in all honesty, I think the latter 2 options are going to happen the most, and it's going to send a lot of players back to the lobby a lot more. And I think this does hurt the casual player base, in my opinion. Now this is more like the casual squad base, because I think that solo players, this update really does actually have a lot of good things for solo players. But for casual squad fillers, I think it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge. I think there are some positives here for sure. Max 4 squad size, but the negatives do concern me. We'll have to see how things play out over the next few days to see what the player tendencies end up becoming and see kind of how the game feels in just a couple days. Next up is the price changes to kill streaks at the buy stations and the reduction of kill streaks from ground loot. Not completely removed, just reduced quantities. Now, many things have had a massive price increase, most notably the advanced UAV, which is now 200,000 cash, and a UAV, which is 100,000 cash. Now, of course, you do have your passive upgrades with your operating base that can reduce those costs. So if you have the maximum reduction value on your operating base, you can get that 200,000 cash advanced UAV down to 150,000, but it's still very, very high. And changing the price points of the kill streaks makes sense since they all basically had different levels of power, but previously they were all costing the same price, so it didn't make any sense that an advanced UAV would cost the same price as a mortar strike, for example. While 200,000 is a crazy huge hike, I do think it'll have some positive effects, especially on maps like Ashika Island, which players were basically just running to the nearest buy station right off spawn and buying out all the UAVs very, very quickly with money from their wallet, and then spamming UAVs for the rest of the match. And I think we've seen times where we were literally getting 12 straight UAVs. That's almost the entirety of the entire match. And it was making Ashika Island basically unplayable unless you had a stealth vest. And even then, things would be very, very dicey. So I think it's going to have a positive effect on how Ashika Island plays out for us, which is good. Also, this change creates a massive value for anyone who buys a DMZ bundle, like the Rose bundle with the free UAV bonus effect. Especially if you're running that comms vest, which is now converting that free UAV into an advanced UAV, meaning that you're literally starting the game with a 200,000 cash value item right at the start. That is pretty dang strong. You know, I've been back and forth on the bundles. I know some people really like them. I know that some people think they're pay to win. I see both sides. This makes it even stronger, and I fully expect people to be buying more of those bundles than we ever saw before, that's for sure. Lastly, you can now use your own dog tags to barter at buy stations. This is actually a huge positive because it now lets players barter with the new scavenger buy station for some of those good items that they have, as well as start the Serpentine camo grind, which requires a Damascus dog tag on the first barter item. And now, while the Serpentine camo isn't the best looking gun camo in the game, the adventure of getting one is perhaps the most fun DMZ has to offer right now. So everyone is going to be able to have a chance to get their hands on one of the most difficult skins to acquire. Overall, the start of Season 6 lacks new content, but the gameplay changes are huge. And anyone that is disappointed by the content, keep this in mind. The mid-season Haunting update will likely be the biggest content drop we have ever had in DMZ. So I would treat the season launch like a previous mid-season update and recognize that the mid-season update is actually the huge content drop that you kind of expect at the start of a new season. You think about it that way, flip-flop the roles. But as far as the changes go to the gameplay, I think there are some positives here, especially if you're a solo player, but time will tell if the other changes are really for the best. Let me know your thoughts down below on how you're feeling about all the big changes in Season 6. Make sure to drop a sub for more DMZ content, and I'll catch you in the next one.